Hello everyone, this is News Reporter Jack reporting to you live from Harlem, New York with the news. And today we're learning that the children are still protesting about the pool, which is going under general maintenance, and they happen to be at the park, and we're going to join them. They're at the Marcus Garvey Park, and they're saying that I've got the right to protest. Well, they learned all this in school, and they're protesting. And I understand that we need to talk to youth, Pastor Emmanuel, to find out just what's happening. Okay, everyone, just join with me. I hope that this can all work out. Hello, everybody. This is Youth Pastor Emmanuel, and I'm here to talk about our Bible verse today. It's found in Micah 6, 7 through 8. I'm going to read it to you. And it's a little bit about protest, but about how we should treat one another, and it has something to do with the subject today. So, will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with tens of thousands of rivers of olive oil? Shall I offer my firstborn transgressions, the fruit of my body, for the sin of my soul? He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. You know, God wants us to do those three things: to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. Now, remember the beginning of this Bible verse. It says, what shall I do to please God? Shall I offer him 1,000 rams? That's like giving him money. Or 10,000 rivers of olive oil, and that's like putting something. In other words, should I give God my riches? Shall I offer up my firstborn child for the transgression, for my transgressions, or for my sin? And that's not what the Lord wants you to do. No. He wants you to do these three things, which affects the relationship that you have with other people. And that is to act justly. Now, that word justly is like a judgment. It's like when you go to court and there's a judge, especially a sentence, it's a special sentence, a formal decree. And more importantly, it's like a divine law. Like I said, if you ever looked at TV and you saw a judge there, and the judge was in court and he gave the verdict, or the judge dispensed the law, told people what was legal, that's what that word means. God wants us to follow his law, and more importantly, his standards. He wants us to apply the things that we read in the Bible to our lives. God has a standard of justice that we treat people fairly, without favor. That means, like, you might want to treat your best friend, and you might want to let your best friend get away with things that you wouldn't let other people get away with. Well, God's saying we should treat each people the same. Okay? So that's one thing we should do. Now, it also talks about mercy. I should talk to you a little bit about that. We are to show goodness. That's what that means, which means we're to help other people, do kind things with other people, and we should always dislike putting people to shame or making them feel bad by doing mean things. In other words, we should enjoy people, and we should treat them kindly, and we should treat them with mercy. All right? That's what that word mercy means, to be kind. And also to walk humble. And when we walk humble, that means we're not arrogant, or we don't go around bragging and boasting about how good we are. And it says to walk humbly with our God. And when we walk humbly with our God, God's going to help us define what our purpose is in life, and He's going to help us be able to make the right decisions. Now, there's one group that did those things, or that tries to do those things, and it's a civil rights organization. It's the oldest civil rights organization in the United States, and it's the NAACP. It does things that not only help just African Americans, but all Americans. And the kids learned about protesting in school, and what's going to happen today is we got to find out why they're protesting at the park. Now, the swimming pool went under maintenance, but let's see if they can apply those 3 things that I just spoke about. Let's see what the children are doing in the park. Let's go to our correspondent, Clark the Squirrel, who's in the park talking to these children to find out just what's going on. Clark, do you have someone that you can talk to? Okay, let's find out what these children are doing. I tell you that they're messing up everything.
Okay, this is Calvin, and I've got a right to protest. Yeah, we learned all about it in school. That's what we did. And now that the pool is closed, we're going to protest. Yeah, and you know what? We learned about an organization that's a civil rights organization, and it's my civil right to go swimming on hot days. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People is the American Civil Rights Organization formed in 1909. It's an interracial endeavor to advance justice for African Americans by a group including W.E. Du Bois, Mary White, Ovington, Moorfield, Story, Ida B. Wells, Lillian Wold, M.O.G. Hirsch, and a guy named Henry Markowitz. Yeah. Why's everybody looking at me? Over the years, the leaders of the organization have included Thurgood Marshall and Roy Wilkins. Look, the NAACP is the largest and oldest civil rights group in America. But today, we're gonna protest this pool. And I learned a lot in school. It don't rhyme. But anyway, we want to swim, get the maintenance over with, and we have a right to protest.
Okay, there's Bob the Groundhog is also there, one of my correspondents, and he's been talking to the children also, and he's going to just find out just what these kids are doing. And as I just heard Calvin speak, he sounds kind of snippy for a little child, but I'm going to call the police to get the police to come there to break up everything. I can't believe what these children learned in school.
Oh, this is Shaniqua, and I want to let you know that the NAACP, its mission in the 21st century is to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic equalities, rights of all persons, and to eliminate race-based discrimination. NAACP initiatives include political lobbying, publicity efforts, and legislative strategies or litigation strategies, and that was developed by the legal team. The group enlarged its mission in the late 20th century by considering issues such as police misconduct, the status of black foreign refugees, and questions of economic development. Its name retained, in accordance with tradition, uses the common term colored people, referring to those of some African ancestry. The NAACP started publishing a quarterly magazine, The Crisis, and had its editor, W.E. Du Bois, for 24 years. The NAACP bestows annual awards for African Americans in 3 categories: the Image Awards for achievement in the arts and media, Theater Awards for the Theater Awards are achievement in theater and stage, and the Spring Iron Award for an outstanding achievement of any kind. Its headquarters are in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay, everybody, I'm here to break up the protest, but I understand my son Calvin's here and a couple of his friends, and they're protesting because this pool's not open yet. Well, you know, it's a hot day. I understand. Now, they're also, I'm kind of proud of Calvin because he learned about the NAACP and he's practicing some things that he learned in school. Now, the NAACP has its roots actually beginning in Buffalo, New York. There was something called the Pan American Exposition of 1901 in Buffalo, New York. It featured many American innovations and achievements, but also included a disparaging characteristic of slave life in the South, as well as a depiction of life in Africa. And it was called Old Plantation, Darkest Africa, respectively. A local African-American woman, her name was Mary Talbert of Ohio, was appalled by the exhibition, and she was offended by it. A similar one in Paris highlighted African American achievements. She informed W.E. Du Bois of the situation, and the coalition began to form. In 1905, a group of 32 prominent African American leaders met to discuss the challenges facing African Americans and possible strategies and solutions. They were particularly concerned by the southern states' disenfranchisement, or they didn't allow people to do certain things in Mississippi, and they passed a lot of new laws, and this was done in 1890. But through 1908, Southern legislators, dominated by white Southern Democrats, ratified new constitutions and laws, created barriers for voting registration, and more complex election rules. In practice, this and the Lily White movement caused the exclusion of most African Americans and poor whites from the Southern political system. Black voters' registration and turnout dropped dramatically in the South as a result of such legislation. Men who had been able to vote for 30 years in the South were told they were not qualified to register to vote. White-dominated legislators often referred to the passage of the segregation rules, which were called Jim Crow. Oh, I see some of the protesters now, so I'm going to go over and talk to them. But I just wanted to let you know a little bit more of the history of the NAACP.
Oh, this is Ari, and I had some information about the NAACP too. I'm out here protesting with my friends. Now, also, because of segregation, because hotels in the United States were segregated, men convened in Canada at Erie Beach Hotel Hilton, or hotel, in the Canadian side of the Niagara River, in Fort Erie, Ontario. As a result, the group became known as the Niagara Movement. A year later, 3 non-African Americans joined the group. It was journalist William English Walling, a wealthy socialist, and social worker Mary White Ovington, and Henry Moskowitz. Moskowitz was Jewish. He was Jewish. He was also the associate leader of the New York Society for Ethical Culture. They met in 1906 at the Story College, Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, and this was in they also met in 1907 in Boston, Massachusetts. The fledgling group struggled for a time with limited resources and internal conflict and disbandment. In 1910, seven of the members of the Niagara Movement joined the board of the NAACP, founded in 1909. Although the board organization shared membership and overlapped for a time, the Niagara Movement was a separate organization. Oh, here comes the police! I hope I don't get arrested!
Okay, everybody. The children are not going to get arrested. I just want to talk to them, and I can see that they've learned a lot about African American history and the forming of the NAACP. That's very important because the NAACP is a civil rights organization in the United States. It's the oldest and the largest civil rights organization. But as you learn about the NAACP, you learn that there were some really nice people that started it, and they came from different backgrounds and they were different races. So that's important because people wanted to unite to help African Americans, and the NAACP ended up helping everybody. So we've got a right to protest. You're absolutely right. And right now they're protesting about the pool. I'm going to speak to these kids and find out from the pool manager just when the pool will be open. Oh boy, what a thing to do on a hot day. I can't believe it. You guys take care. I'll see you next week.